Good morning, everybody. Welcome to another Telling It Like It Is. My name is Jade Alberts, the founder of Peer Guidance. We're a purpose before profit group that love giving back, helping you grow, working on anything from finances to mental health. But I really want to talk about what's scrolling across the bottom before we talking to Philippe here. Is the Calgary Chamber of Commerce Mental Health Monday. Sarah from Collectively Tangled and I will be having an open and vulnerable discussion about the stresses of mental health, about being an entrepreneur. I know that's something that we'll talk about here today. But again, October 20th, the link will be in the comments section relatively soon. Please check that out. Get in there, register for it. It's free. We would love to see you. You know what? This is long overdue. And I say that a lot. And, when Philippe moved here, we met from Neo. And I'm so glad that you're finally on Telling It Like It Is. How are you today?
I'm doing great. It's great to be live on LinkedIn. I feel like I'm on LinkedIn so much, but I've never been live. This is so fitting.
What? This is the
fitting
first
to be
for
live
you?
with you. Like we both spend way too much time there. So great to be live.
Isn't that the truth, right? I always laugh because people are like, "Oh my God, you're so busy." I'm like, "Well, LinkedIn can be deceiving."
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Actually people say that to me all the time. I'm like, I don't think I'm as busy as you think I am, but yeah.
Oh my God! Hey, well, look at we already have somebody commenting on here. Hey, look at Derek. Welcome. It's good to have you
Oh, what
here.
up, Derek? This
Hey,
is great. I love this. It feels like
I haven't had him on yet, so I'm surprised he's not actually mentioning that. So we'll probably get him on.
That's
you
awesome.
know,
If
I want.
Derek, if Brett from Good Lawyer makes a comment, this is gonna be like all of LinkedIn Calgary just like popping up. So yeah, let's keep
Everyone's
it
just
going.
popping up. Oh God! I want to dive into our conversation here, and you know what? I think our journeys are very similar. Mine's a little bit like yours. I mean, I didn't aspire to be an entrepreneur. The opportunity presented itself. I made a tough decision. We just had our first child. And Cal said, you know what, if you're going to do it, these are the people to do it with. These are good partners. They're good people. Go for it. And obviously I don't regret it. It worked out. It changed my life, and I'm very glad I made that decision. So why don't you kind of give us a little background about your journey to becoming an entrepreneur?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, um, very similar in the sense of like did not think that this was gonna be the direction I took my life in, and like certainly wasn't opposed to it. But yeah, the opportunities just sort of arose, and I sort of jumped at it and made the leap, and um, I find myself like incredibly so maybe I'll sort of tell the story. I was I moved here. I was going to school in Montreal, but I'm a Winnipeg boy originally, which is I guess also how we share a background of both being prairie kids. Worked when I was there as an early employee at Skip the Dishes. Um, and yeah, Derek, so jealous. Relax. But yeah, early employee had skipped the dishes, and had sort of worked with some of the founders, um, and then went to school in Montreal. By the time I graduated, had sold Skip, moved to Calgary, started Neo Financial. So joined early at Neo as well, and sort of moved to Calgary. After about a year, um, I stood up the talent marketing team. So essentially, like we had about 300 employees at Neo. We wanted to grow to about 800 within 12 months. And so my role was really to help our recruitment team hire quicker and more efficiently. And as part of that, we started an event series called Tech Thursday, which was every single week we wanted to bring the tech community together and eventually like hopefully hire these folks. And so that's really what Tech Thursday was all about. We started, slow, maybe 5 or 10 people were coming out, and then rapidly grew. And we actually started in Winnipeg about 4 years ago. Um, and then in Calgary about a year later. But then rapidly started seeing about, 80 to 100 people coming out every week in both these markets, um, which helped us get sponsors. And then at a certain point, we weren't really hiring anymore. But I had sort of run the numbers and went like, well, like removing my salary, these things are revenue positive, like these events. So, am I dumb to think that maybe this could be its own company? And so I went to the founders of Neo and said, hey, look, I would love to like try my hand at turning this into a real company. Can I spin this out? And they were keen to kind of let me spin it out. And that's certainly been their story for a long time of really wanting to encourage prairie folks, I guess, to start their own companies. So they were keen and let me go. So that's a bit the journey of how I got here. And now it's been about a year and a half of running it full time. Have launched a few new markets, which I'm sure we can get into, but certainly feel like incredibly lucky to start a company that I've been operating for like 2 or 3 years before, starting it. And not a lot of entrepreneurs get that opportunity to do that. So yeah, remarkably lucky and certainly not the journey I had planned.
Well, I think you brought up a couple great points there. Number one is that I mean, obviously you're going to have fellow entrepreneurs, the guys from Skip saying, hey, yeah, this is good. Take it, run
Yeah.
with it. We encourage you. We'll support you. We'll still be there for you. We'll be a sponsor. That's, there's nothing better than entrepreneurs helping entrepreneurs, which happens all the time in our ecosystem. But you said the soft launch, right? You had to outside, you got to run it, you got to get it out there. That's no different than getting your product out there, launching it, sending it, getting some feedback, seeing if it works, and then type of scaling it. So realistically, it's the same thing.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, maybe we're like, it's a little bit different. It's like oftentimes when people are building products like that, there's no revenue. There's no, there's no like, it's also a side hustle too. So you're not getting paid to like try things out and see if it works. And I was able to sort of start a company with a little bit of revenue after having been paid for a couple of years to run it. So super lucky. But I think I'm seeing some incredible folks now who are in Calgary and across Canada, really, who are now able to stand up products really quickly. Like I think AI and vibe coding is allowing for folks to like build solutions or build like an MVP way quicker that is like largely functional and sell that at a much faster clip and get feedback way faster. And so I am seeing, I think, a new wave of like entrepreneurship coming up of folks who are building an MVP in a really short amount of time and then like trying to sell it. And I'm seeing like some really great companies come out of just doing that and iterating really quickly and then eventually being able to like quit your job and try your hand at this. So I think that's what we're going to see a lot more of here in the next like 6 months.
Well, I can tell you something about that. I mean, when 10 years ago after we sold our first company, I saw a lot of the side of the desk conversation, people that
Yeah,
were out there. Monarch, Kelsey, one of the great entrepreneurs of our ecosystems, that she did that for the longest time, then got it and then moved in full time and ran. So it's not a bad thing, right? People think that oh my God, I got to do this. I got to quit. I'm like, no, like take your time,
yeah,
build it, have a job, pay your bills, not be less stressful. It's, entrepreneurship sometimes isn't a fun journey. And, the reality of it, it's very, very difficult. And that, being a side of the desk thing is good. And that's one of the things that I love about Tech Thursday is that you have people up there, and I've been lucky enough and, to be up there a few times talking about the reality of entrepreneurship, talking
yeah.
about the tough times. I mean, you've had great inspirational stories as well, but having some of that grassroots conversations that we're talking about now, I think is imperative for entrepreneurs to hear.
Yeah, totally. Those are some of my favorite stories of, yeah, maybe like the failures or like when it didn't work so well. And just, yeah, being able to like feel, I had a call with April Hickey and over at Toast. And I mean, first of all, she's just always a great person for me to talk to because I feel like we're both sort of operating in similar spaces. And so great to like run things by her and make sure I'm not crazy. And she'll, certainly make me feel better. But yeah, great conversations always about like, yeah, it's okay if this is like incredibly hard. And I think entrepreneurship always is like, um, this is maybe my take on entrepreneurship, if we want to go there, is like when I started this company, I really thought like, oh, I'm going to be my own boss. This is going to be great. And then like quickly realizing probably like at the end of the month that like, oh, my boss is just like, capitalism in its purest form now. Like, oh, my boss is just like my landlord. who's asking for rent, and like, okay, so now I have to make money. And so that's actually quite motivating and quite like driving of like, okay, let's go. We have to hustle now. But so people often think it comes with freedom, and like, no, it's almost the opposite of like, no, now I'm tied to like I really have to do this for myself, and I have to figure this out. But it really is like just like the ebbs and flows of like, whatever metric you decide to focus on, whatever week, or you can really have a different sort of outlook on how you're doing or how your company is doing, based on sort of how you're tracking it and what it's looking like. And yeah, it's actually quite interesting how like you can shift your outlook on how successful you are based on like how life is going, or how like, yeah, am I looking at today? Am I looking at like, for us, event attendees or revenue, or there's all sorts of things I could be looking at that really drive like how I'm feeling about how Tech Thursday is going.
Well, I mean, from an outsider, and you and I have lots of conversations in the ecosystem when we see each other, and it's always, I'm always looking. As soon as I get that email, I'm like, okay, who's a guest? Who's a guest? I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah.
it's something that I'm excited about when I get, you get a lot of crap emails, and you're the one I get is like, ooh, I'm going to go to this one. I'm going to go to this one. I'm going to go to this one. And I think that, like I said, you get I've seen that place probably have 150 people in there, 6, 7
Yeah.
deep at the Pioneer. Like,
Yeah.
so like, talk about how, like, yeah, I know it worked in Winnipeg, and it's a smaller, and you saw it successful. Like, what made you say, okay, well, this will work in Calgary now?
Yeah. That's a great question. Like, to us, I think, I mean, you're a big, you got the startup TNT sign behind you. When we had launched in Winnipeg, I think it was maybe less like us dead set on like, oh, this will work, and more kind of looking around at the format and thinking, I think this format makes sense, and there's also a gap in terms of like this form of event here in Calgary. When we launched in Winnipeg, it was right after the pandemic. There were largely no in-person events taking place. And if like the events that were taking place were largely virtual. And so our big focus was, okay, let's bring everyone together, all of like the organizations, if it's like North Forge, if it's New Media Manitoba, let's Tech Manitoba, let's bring them all together in a room, and let's say, hey, look, we're going to foot the bill. Whenever you guys want to like host an event with us, you can use our venue, and we'll just like together build a community and an audience, and a platform for physical in-person events. And what's really cool about Winnipeg is like, for anyone who's hosted an event before, kind of regardless of, and this might be true for your founder coffee as well, regardless of when, of how many RSVPs you have, typically there's like an attrition number. Like typically if it's free, it's like a 40 to 60% attrition. If it's paid, maybe it's a little bit less. But in Winnipeg, we hit this inflection point where like we'll actually sometimes have like 20 people RSVP and 100 people will show up, just because like everyone
Wow.
knows this is the place to be on
Yeah.
Thursday in Winnipeg. And it's a really cool part of the tech community in Winnipeg. But we were looking at Calgary and thinking, okay, the Startup TNT, which is like, a demo day or a pitch day style, really like founder and investor focus. And there were a lot of like hiring fairs and like Platform Calgary hosted really great ones, but there isn't anything for like senior members of the tech community, right? Like who is helping founders, senior marketers, senior developers. And that was really the impetus for Tech Thursday. And so that was why we decided to launch here. And I think we were able to put together panels that attracted those kind of folks. And that's why we've been able to have success here repeatedly, is just like finding niche conversations that bring out a different group of folks to our events.
Well, I think you hit the nail on the head, and thank you for doing it here too, because I love it. I know a lot of people love it. It is something that is missing. And I know you mentioned Founders Coffee, and for anybody who doesn't know, it's every Tuesday morning, 7:30 a.m. at Red's Diner in Kensington. And again, that is something meant for, I didn't want something on that end to be based around alcohol or based around
Yeah.
anything, something at a different time, something very, very unique. And we don't even have it. It's just, if you're an entrepreneur, a startup, you just show up. It's more like-minded people. We usually get anywhere between 15 and 25 a week. So
Wow.
it's a good number. And again, it's just come and go. That's why it's every week, and it's been running for, well, January will be 8 years. So
Amazing.
it's created something. It's it runs on its own. It doesn't need me. I don't have to be there. Generally, I am there. But yeah, I mean, what you have created here is something that brings those people together and puts those people that other entrepreneurs want to hear from on the stage, and puts them in a light where they can be themselves. They don't have to sit there and be fake.
Yeah.
Like, sit there and talk about, and again, that being vulnerable and talk. And I mean, I can't even name some of the people that have been on there, but the topics that you cover, from, I'm going to just say, from blockchain.
Right.
Well, we've actually, as of today, go check out our new website. We just finished our rebrand and launched it. So
Nice.
it's now the Canadian Bitcoin Consortium. So go check her out, or maybe I'll post a website up here. But, from us to Brad Perry, to talk about the future, to talk, like,
Yeah.
you've done such a good job showcasing it. Like, how do you keep bringing great people up?
Well, actually, like, as we took a break in July, and coming out of the break, we've decided to sort of reduce our cadence of events, from like once every week to once, or typically like twice a month now. And we're still doing weekly events, but those are kind of looking more like just like private. We'll do private dinners and work with sponsors directly, and put on events specifically for people they want to get in front of. So now we have about like 2 public panels a month. And that's really helped us like make sure that we actually hyper focus in on who our speakers are, and getting really great folks out to participate in the events. Yeah, that's been really, really fun. But yeah, I mean, I think what's great about maybe what I've learned about panels and putting together events is like, you can, and you probably, this from hosting podcasts, everyone wants to participate. Everyone wants to be asked to do it. And so it's been like the better guests that you get, the easier it is to like then go and ask other folks, and they want to participate as well. So to us, it's just like holding ourselves to a high bar of what this content is. I also think there's an element of like, we don't really want this to be like the cute ecosystem play where you like come and you not like, we're live on LinkedIn, right? So I shouldn't swear.
Well, you can swear.
Okay. Well, I don't want to. We'll see. But I'm sure no like kids are on LinkedIn at 9:30 on a Wednesday, right?
No. We're good there.
Okay, cool. Yeah. But we don't. We were kind of like fuck it. Like, we want to create content that belongs in San Francisco, or like really helps create a step change in this ecosystem, and gets us to the next level, by just like slowly bringing everyone up, right? Like, if Wish wants to come on and talk about agentic AI, and it helps people in the room build agentic AI, like, we got to be doing as much of that as possible, of like leveraging what some of the successful folks in Calgary have to say, and being able to like pass down the ladder to the folks who are in the room, who want to hustle and build, and are able to take some of that knowledge from our events and do it for themselves.
And I mean, that's exactly right. Having those people in the room, having people out there, it's bringing a Nick from Helsum, or bringing somebody
Yeah.
on. Like, it's very hard to have it's the average person like say, God, I mean, I like what they've done. I've liked they created, man, I would like to have a conversation with them. Well, here's your opportunity.
Right.
He's going to be hanging around. He's going to be sitting there, networking with everybody, and the power of networking, or maybe you have to ask him a question. And I think that's something that's so unique is the people that you're putting on there. Maybe some people don't have access to them, and it's their opportunity to maybe shake their hand, ask a question, or whatever it might be. Just congratulate them if that's what they're looking for. And I think that's important for people to be out there, to be on there, especially people who are on stage that maybe people may not have a chance to talk to.
Yeah, totally. I think there's an element too of like as much as me and you who are super well connected well, sorry, I shouldn't put myself in that bucket, but
Well, you are.
yeah, super well connected in the Calgary ecosystem. Like, sometimes we hear these like we see folks and we think, oh, everyone's heard of them, but it's like a lot of people haven't, right? And it still is really good to give these folks the audience to talk about what they're doing and talk about their wins. And so often they come up to me and like thank me for the opportunity and like feel recognized. And to me, I think also the giving folks the platform to talk about what they're doing also creates like concentric circles where even if there's only like 70 or 150 people in the room, they're going to go home and talk to their friends, and that's a concentric circle, and it kind of expands from there, and it helps us accelerate the storytelling of some of these awesome like companies or founders or even just like builders, right? So if it's just a staff engineer or who's building some sort of like cool technology and came and talked about it, like being able for those folks to tell their story, I think is really powerful. And so like same with you and your podcast, like really awesome what you're doing to be able to like give people the opportunity to share what they're doing.
And I'm just going to post this because Derek brought up a little question here. And I like this because I truly believe that, I've been running this and Founders Coffee will be coming 8 years, and consistency is the key to get out there to do it, right? Like you sit there and maybe nobody comes, but that's okay. Like I sat there at Founders Coffee for weeks and weeks and weeks.
Yeah.
When I was the only one. I'm still so nervous. I bring my laptop every week in case nobody shows up.
Right.
Right? Yeah. Like, okay, well, I can get some work done if nobody comes.
No, that anxiety that Derek just posted is the only thing I ever worry about. Like everything else is literally solvable in events. Like honestly, like you could run out of booze and you can solve that. Like everything, like just like a little bit of elbow grease you can solve, or like it can be going horribly wrong. Okay, you can get up there, you can tell a joke and solve it, whatever. People not showing up though is like the worst part. Like, yeah, because sometimes we'll get like 250 people who sign up and it's meant to be a great event. And then still like a lot of people will come, but it'll be like a really nice like Thursday and people want to hit a patio, and all of a sudden instead of having we're expecting 175 people show up, like, oh, maybe we only have 90, and like someone sponsored the event, and like I'm sitting there going, oh no, like this is so bad, or just like keep looking at the clock. And honestly, the anxiety in those moments is so brutal because I'll just like constantly be checking my phone or checking the time, being like, okay, maybe in the next 5 minutes, the majority of people will come. And then like I'm trying to have a conversation with someone, and like I think they can just read it in my face of like, this is brutal. But I'm not sure if Derek was asking for advice, but yeah,
no, I don't know if he's
I think
he's scared.
Yeah,
there he goes. Field of green mentality. You build it, they will come. That's part of it. But I
Yeah.
mean, God, we've hosted everything from the Alberta Technology Symposium and the Canadian Bitcoin Consortium. I mean, we host like right now, we're in Montreal. Kalea's there hosting an event with, government officials, members of parliament. We just finished another trade mission down to the States where we took Minister Glubish and Minister Nally with us.
Cool.
And all the events that we host across Canada, it is a fear, and it's something that we're scared of every single time. Oh my God, are we going to do it? Are people going to come? And we know people are going to come because, again, if you're consistent and you build it, they will come, and they know that you're putting on quality. And when they know that it's an event that I'm going to go there and I'm going to meet somebody and I'm going to shake somebody's hand, it's worth going to.
Yeah. And there's probably some truth as well. I mean, not necessarily. It's not as like dire as this, but like, you're only as good as your last event. Um, where like I think also there's an element of like keeping a really high standard for every single event that you do, and we'll sometimes host ones that are like, sort of like, I don't know, that was as good as it could have been. And I think like those just have to be as far and few between. Otherwise, you'll start to have people come out and be like, I don't need to be coming to these anymore, right? Like I can find some better things to do with my time. People giving time is probably the most they can give you, right? Like,
Yeah.
and so if they're not finding value, then they're not going to come anymore, right? So I do think there's an element of like you really do have to keep a high bar for all of the events that you're hosting.
Well, I mean, we're hosting our first Bitcoin on the Hill Day in Ottawa, and we had a big gala, and we had everything, and then we had a couple evening events, and you just launched in Ottawa the second event, and there I am walking into the door in Ottawa, right? So you've built something that obviously I see value in, that I'm willing
Yeah,
to quickly go there and spend an hour before in between events that I'm doing in Ottawa, and it's something that I think that's the incredible part of it. And, Ottawa's going strong. And I kind of
yeah.
just, I want to say you've gone to Ottawa. So what's next for Tech Thursday? Where are you going? What's your BHAG goal here?
Yeah, that's honestly, the Ottawa team has been crushing it, and maybe we'll tag them after. So let me name drop a few of them. But Daryl Bendoro and Lisa Johns and Paul Newman. And I can give you those tags after for LinkedIn, but
Yeah.
they're gonna appreciate the shout out. But that's a great question. I think we're really going through our 2026 strategy right now, and that's a lot of what we're spending some time doing. And I don't know how much I'm is ready to sort of talk about right now, but what I will say is I think we're um, what maybe we had like originally thought of like we're gonna launch right away in Montreal, Toronto, and Vancouver, and let's like create the largest like national tech community and connect them. I think we're moving a little bit away from that sentiment and more towards like let's really become the undeniable conveners in the markets that we're operating in, which is like Ottawa, Winnipeg, Edmonton, and Calgary now, and each one of these markets requires a remarkable amount of like attention and love. Um, like you probably know this from hosting events in different cities. Every city has such a unique culture, and like the tech culture is quite unique as well. And so I don't think it does us any justice to bite off more than we can chew by, going into like bigger and bigger markets, and also like more and more expensive markets. Like hosting an event in Toronto is like, what the hell is happening? Like, what am I paying for? But so I think we just want to double down on like who we're bringing together here in these cities, but then also I think the other big part of what we want to do um, is we also want to cross sell our in-person audience to an online audience, a digital audience, and understanding you read the newsletter, which is awesome, the Calgary Tech newsletter. But is there like other content that people can consume from our events, or like we're doing the 60-second founder now? So that's an example. We just started posting the full length videos to YouTube as well for Tech Thursday. Can we create snippets out of that? Or is there like different kinds of content that we can create that more and more people can consume outside of just the physical in-person events? And so really starting to look at Tech Thursday like an events and media company, and trying to grow and scale that way. Um, so being here in person, but also like saying, I don't think we need to be in Toronto and Vancouver right now because we believe like we can make a significant difference in these markets. We can also get an audience from Toronto and Vancouver by just doubling down on the content that we're creating in these cities. Um, And then once we've like really honed in on what our value add is, then looking at those markets and expanding from there. So that's a bit the 2026 goal of actually just saying we're going to refocus, we're going to double down on these markets, and then we're going to like our expansion plan is going to be more towards the digital space because it's more scalable before we look at other markets.
I love that. Right. And I mean, I've, grown a company across this country and across
Yep.
North America and helped many others do it. And that's the right answer. If you're looking to grow, it's just not bigger is not better.
Mhm.
Do what you can, create that crowd, create that. If you're going to go in Toronto, like you said, they're totally different markets. Well, Montreal, two different markets. The Maritimes, again, all of them have some strength in online, and people see it and people watch it and people understand it. It's going to give you a better chance of succeeding before you head into those markets.
Yeah, totally. And like now we're starting, and a bit of background on Tech Thursday. I'm not sure if we've ever like me and you have ever talked about this, but when we did sort of spin out a Neo, we spun out as a for-profit company, um, a little bit on purpose, right? I think there are often um, like typically people just assume that we're a nonprofit because of some of the work that we're doing, and because our events are free for people to attend. But we did actually spin out as a nonprofit, largely because we thought that if we are to like exist to support the tech ecosystem, which should be one of Canada's largest industries, um, we should be able to make money. And if we're not able to
Yeah.
make money, we probably should pack up shop and maybe we'll go work at Cal Tire or something. I don't know. That would be a horrible mechanic. Um, but but that's all to say that like also I think we want to refine our revenue strategy in these new markets as well, um, before we grow too, or like get those turning at a point where we're like, oh, this really makes sense to expand to new markets. Like they should be commercially viable in every market that we expand to, um, and especially before we move to more and more markets. But we're starting to see that work, which is pretty great. That like within 6 months we can start to like be revenue positive maybe in some of these new markets, before we expand, which I'm really happy about.
Yeah, for profit's not a bad thing. I don't
Yeah.
know why people have to. You don't have to be a nonprofit to be a Tech Thursday or be something along those lines. Supporting and giving back or whatever it is you do with some of your profits is great if you're if you're going to have a movement like this. But and even if you would have asked me beforehand, I would have said you should be for profit.
Yeah.
So
It's great. Well, sometimes like I don't know. Sometimes in Canada we're like too nice about those kind of things. Like, oh, like But yeah, it's good. Like if you're really passionate about it, like you should think you could make some money from this. And
well,
you're
yeah,
just trying to figure it out. But yeah,
no, it's great. I'm always sad when our conversations come to an end on Wednesdays. I come on and we talk beforehand as usual, and I always say this is my favorite day of the year. Let's get to talk to so many great people and inspirational people like yourself. But for my last question,
yes.
I want to know if you had one piece of advice for a startup or entrepreneur, what would that be?
Um, I think like one piece of advice. We had Jeff Adamson, one of the co-founders of both Skip and Neo, on Tech Thursday at the beginning of the year, and he this is maybe not for entrepreneurs or founders. This is for like anyone who would want to be an entrepreneur or founder. But he did such a great job of reframing um, risk, that I just loved. Where like in Canada, I think we suffer from a culture of maybe being a little too um, a little too risk averse. And I think actually, so it was Jeff Adamson and Yannick Alford, the Deputy Minister of Innovation, for the government of Alberta. And Yannick made the point of like, if you look at Canadian values ranked by Canadians, It's like kindness, diversity, or multiculturalism, respect for others, respect for your neighbors. We're on the top of the list, and then all the way down at the bottom of the list, at like 2% was hard work and work ethic. And then right above other, right? Like other was like just at 2%. And then, hard work was like 2.1% or something. So there's kind of this cultural shift that's needed. And Jeff's point was, we should really reframe how we think about risk in Canada. Like we should not think that starting a company is risky. We just think it is because risk or failure in Canada is like a black mark. Like, oh, you went off, you failed. Like that's a black mark. We need to start shifting the narrative around failure where like that is like you become more desirable if you went off and you started your own company and learned and failed. Or even more desirable to go and start your company, like start a company a second time. So just reframing it where it also becomes risky to not do those things, right? Like maybe it's risky to climb the corporate ladder for 30 years to get to a position that I don't want to even be in, or especially now with AI, maybe it's like way riskier for me to spend 20 years in a career where, in 5 years I won't be needed anymore, and I'll be let go, and the company sort of owes me nothing. And so reframing it of like, it might be actually riskier if you don't do the thing, if you don't go and try and hustle and see what could be, because you're not doing it, right? So I just think if you want to be a founder or you want to be an entrepreneur, I actually think it's riskier to not do it, and you should do it, and especially if you live in like Winnipeg or Calgary or Edmonton or Ottawa. For like, I think these markets are like the affordability is there. Also, the people are there to support you. Like really, in my time in Calgary, I've started to love this city as just like a playground where like it really feels like you can kind of do anything, and people are there to support you. So just do it. Like just go out and do it and hustle, and you know, I think it's all going to be worth it in the end.
I love it. Risk is good. There's nothing wrong with risk. Take a risk, take a chance.
That's right.
The last, one of the things that if I try to, think about in my life is I don't want any what ifs.
Yeah.
Like I don't want to sit there and go, oh my God, what if I would have done that? What if I would have did that? What if I would have that? Would things have been different? Would things, do it. Right? Like
Totally.
it's not going to hurt you. Like, I mean, obviously, going to the casino and risking money, well, that's different, but different things, like just go do, like, just take a chance in business, take a chance on certain things, take a chance on a new career, whatever it is that it's for you,
Yeah.
do it, right? Come play squash, join a new gym, take a risk. Eh, Philip?
That's right. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, I might come join you. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I mean, totally. Sometimes I feel like I don't know how motivating this is for other people, but for me, it's like I feel like sometimes in a position where I'm so lucky that I've been able to start this company in the way that I have, and so I almost feel like because I have this opportunity, I have to do like riskier and riskier things. I have to push the
Yeah,
envelope, like sitting on my laurels and saying like, okay, cool. I'm just gonna like, do the same thing I've always done. Well, that's so boring, and other people aren't in a position to do this, like are not as privileged to be able to go and try these things. And so because I can, I almost have to.
yeah.
And so I feel like if other people are in a position where they can go and start a company, it's like, man, I feel like you kind of have to. Like, you have to do that because you can. And if you don't, like, the world is a worse place because you didn't do it. So, yeah. Anyway,
For sure. Well, again, I really appreciate you coming on today, Philip, and for anybody that's out there, again, Founders Coffee, Tuesday morning, 7:30, Tech Thursdays, obviously 5 o'clock. Roll in, Pioneer downtown on Stephen Avenue, and again, scrolling across the bottom, Mental Health Monday. Come out there, Sarah, myself will be there, being open, being vulnerable, talking entrepreneurship, and hopefully, having an engaging conversation with you and having the crowd open up as well. So I really appreciate you coming on. I appreciate everything that you've done for our community, and thank you on behalf of everybody for creating something so inspirational and a gathering that on a weekly basis that is the place to be.
Yeah, well, Jade, thank you so much for having me. So great to overdue. So great to be on here, and thank you for all the work you do. And I'm gonna take this opportunity to plug our upcoming events, if you don't mind. We
Oh
got
yeah.
Jim Rooney, the managing director of Garmin Canada. He launched. He was the founder of Dynastream, which was acquired by Garmin. He's on the Tech Thursday next week, which should be an awesome one. And then we're wrapping up the year on November 13th. It's going to be a week after the federal budget. So we're bringing in one of our sponsors, Crestview, and we're going to just do an overview of what is included in the the federal budget and what it means for the tech industry and what to kind of look out for it. So that's on November 13th. So that's awesome. But yeah, thank you for having me. And I hope, well, I'm of course going to see you very soon, but I hope to see everyone who's watching. How many people are watching right now?
Oh, I'll have to go look after. All the little analytics are on there, and I'd have to shut down and go and look.
Okay, well,
But I
I'm
let you
glad
know
at least Derek.
last week we reached just over 17,000, so it was a good number. Yeah.
I wish I would have known that. I would have been way more nervous. I thought it was like just Derek.
Oh my God! Woo! Well, awesome, my friend. I enjoy it again. I look forward to seeing you soon. And yeah, we will. I hope everybody enjoys the rest of their Wednesday, and we will chat soon. Take care, everybody.
Yeah. Thanks, Jed.